afternoon. This is the Del Norte Local Transportation Commission. This meeting Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020. It's 3 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get our meeting started. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, and can we call roll, please?
Commissioner Fallman?
Here.
Commissioner Gitlin?
Here.
Commissioner Hemmingson?
Here.
Commissioner Inscore?
Here.
Commissioner Keim is absent. Chair Howard?
Present.
And Policy Advisory Member Kevin Tucker.
Okay, please stand. Mr. Inscore, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Absolutely. Ready and begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to take public comment. Anybody wishing to make public comments regarding matters either on or off the agenda and within the Commission's jurisdiction may do so at this time. However, the Commission is not permitted to act on non-agenda items. Any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to adjourn to the Policy Advisory Committee and move to our consent agenda. And we'll take items A, B, just items A at this time, which is our minutes from February 4th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion on the table
Second.
and a second. Public comment. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board. By consensus? Very good. Motion approved. We'll move now to the Policy and Administration section of our agenda, Washington Boulevard Culvert Replacement. Tamara?
There are two resolutions attached to this that in combination, make up a full funding for this Washington Boulevard culvert. Since Rosanna Bauer is here in the room, I'd like for her to present the information. She's probably the most knowledgeable on this project. The TAC has made the recommendation that the Commission award this funding.
Very good. Ms. Bauer, please.
Hello. We're looking for funding for the Washington Boulevard culvert near Harold Street. It's been a failed culvert, I believe I heard, for 15 years. We don't have the funding at this point to fix it. It's a very deep fill prism. It's about 16 to 20 feet deep. There's a water line in there. Of course, if the road fails and all goes south, it's going to be ugly, especially for emergency services, medical transport. HIP funding was made available to the region. We thought this was a good use of the funding. It will federalize the project, which isn't the most desirable thing, but it'll get the project done. So we are looking for HIP funding, matching it with RSTP funding, and then also if we see another funding opportunity, we will pursue that so that we aren't tapping the RSTP pot more than we need to.
And what does that mean when you said it federalizes the project?
It means that we have to do NEPA. We don't just have to do CEQA.
Okay. Just a permitting thing.
And there's federal provisions during construction like Buy America.
Okay.
And then federal prevailing wage rates, even though they're typically less than state, apply. And just lots more pieces to the puzzle.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes.
Rosanna,
Appreciate it.
where was this culvert in relationship to that bulge on the hill?
I believe there's a fence behind the walk where it's at. It's immediately east of Harold. There's a sidewalk above it.
Okay, so Harold Street runs north and south.
Yes.
Right, and there's that called the Harold Hill, and that was developed, came about many, many years ago. As a matter of fact, the property owner was obligated to fix that hill sometime. Is that still in the play?
I'm aware of the Social Security building being built and the conditions of, I believe it might have been a subdivision improvement agreement or a deferred improvement agreement with respect to Harold Hill, but this is on Washington Boulevard
Boulevard.
It's
proper.
on Washington Boulevard, not on Harold Street.
Not at all on Harold.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tamara, real quick, on items 1 and 2, is it 2020-4?
4 and 2020-5.
Okay.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
agenda says 4 and 4, so.
Yeah, my
And
error.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-4 and 2020-5.
Thank you very much. We have a motion on the table
Second.
and a second. Public comment. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board. Please pull the vote.
Commissioner Fallman?
Yes.
Commissioner Gitlin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hemmingson?
Yes.
Commissioner Inscore?
Yes.
Policy Advisory Member Kevin Tucker?
Yes.
And Chair Howard.
Yes.
Thank you, Rosanna.
Thank you, Rosanna. All right, let's go ahead and with discussion items number C, 2021 overall work program update. Tamara?
We discussed in our last meeting moving forward with a transit plan that developed a transit hub in a different location. I talked to Joe Rye about the project and any opportunities for funding for building, and he said there really isn't any at this time, and that if we wanted to delay that for a year, we could. The reason why I brought this up is because our 3-year contract for Commonplace is coming up for renewal, and I believe that it's in the better interest of the commission to build our own platform than to continue to pay the $14,000 a year to Commonplace. Once we build our platform, then we'll own it. It'll be held on ArcGIS, so it could be hosted with anybody who is operating ArcGIS, even the county, should we decide to go that route in general. I talked with Green Dot Transportation Solutions, our consulting firm who's taking care of our website, everything right now, and helped us negotiate all that needed to happen for Commonplace. And they've actually built for 2 other areas a similar platform that they house on their own ArcGIS website right now, because that's easier for them for management. The big benefit for this is that they can import collision data right into the map, rather than having collision data not be on the map. When we tried to go in and put all of the collisions on the Commonplace map, it got unwieldy in terms of keeping up. I mean, it was just too much of a keeping up effort. It wasn't making sense with staff time, for either for me to do it or for our consultant team to do it. So we talked about building this platform. The reason why I wanted to move forward with it this year rather than delaying a year is because our Commonplace 3-year contract is coming up for renewal, and also because they are developing one for a different agency, and there's some time savings in having them to do 2 at one time rather than do 1 at a time. So it seemed an efficiency. So the change in this work program is delaying the transit hub planning to develop our platform for community input. It will be very similar in move in, drop a pin, make your comments. It will, though, be much better in printing reports that are usable, so you can draw a circle around the area where you want to know all of the, the collisions within a half a mile of a school, as an example. In the Commonplace right now, we have to go in and pull all of those individual areas out anytime we want to take a look at it. So the original development for this platform will be about $45,000, but then we will own it over time, as opposed to paying I think it's about $14,000 a year, year over year. So over the course of 3 years, it'll be about break even, and then going forward, it's just a matter of maintenance, but also including the collisions that we can directly import from the SWITRS data.
Cool.
What's going to happen to all the old comments and collision data that's already been uploaded to Commonplace? That all is going to
They will be populated into the new
Okay.
place. We will not lose anything at all in this, in moving information over. Some of them will need to be hand keyed in, but again, that's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
And there's, several hundred comments in there right now, but it's not an insurmountable amount. So. We are still getting activity on our Commonplace platform. You can go into the administrative area and see, that there's, a slow but steady stream of comments that people go in, drop a pin. So I think it's successful. I think it will be increasingly successful over time, just as, more and more people get used to, going into a different platform and making comments.
Thank you.
So that's the OWP update. I also submitted the document to Caltrans for comments. It was due, I don't know, about a week ago, a few days ago. And so what's next in the process is Caltrans will make comments on the overall work program. I will consider the comments and where needed, incorporate them into the work program. Once we receive the comments and the work program is moving forward, the TAC will take a second look at it, and then the commission will approve it. So it depends on when I receive those comments from Caltrans, whether we will have that in our next meeting or the meeting after. But we have until our June meeting to adopt it, so we've got time here.
Very good. Thank you, Tamara. 199 at Elk Valley Crossroad. You might mention the workshop that we also had last week.
So we did have a public workshop last week. Well, it wasn't as packed as the first workshop, given the content and that it was the second workshop. It was really quite well attended. The information that was presented in that workshop is online on my website under projects. So if you just click the top project tabs, all of the Elk Valley project displays that were there at the workshop are right there on my website, so they're easy to see. If you have any questions about them from community members, I would, have them call me if they can't access the internet, and I'll get the information to them on paper. But the easiest way, of course, is to just go to the Transportation Commission's website on projects, and they're right at the top of the page there in projects. And so the workshop was a success. I thought that we had a lot of good and in-depth comment and understanding from folks. The Caltrans District 1 Chief of Traffic Safety, David Morgan, was there at the meeting. And he had different things to say at different times of the evening. It does look like he's going to take an immediate look at Elk Valley Crossroad and 101. And I think that we have some next steps. He offered to meet with our consultant. David Morgan offered to meet with our consultant, Brian Stevenson. And so Brian, I think what a next right step would be is for Brian to drive up from Chico to Eureka, but for us to attend that meeting also and include some other folks, not just David Morgan in the meeting. Commissioner Howard has offered to go, and given that it's his district and he's pretty knowledgeable at that area, I think it borders somebody else's district. It's a little bit mixed up in my mind there. Jerry Hemmingson's? No? Yeah?
No.
101 in Elk Valley?
That'd be 5 then, probably.
Yeah, District 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But it's, I think that having our board chair go is good. I mean, Chris is pretty knowledgeable about US Highway 199, the collisions there at Elk Valley Crossroad, but also the collisions throughout the corridor. So I think it's a logical next step. And our consultant, again, Brian Stevenson with Docken Engineering, he's taking a look at the information and the comments he received from David Morgan, and when he's ready, he'll let me know, and we'll set a meeting in District 1 and go down there and see if we can't come to some kind of a solution for some of those locations that are impacted on Highway 199. There's also a safety study that Caltrans is doing with an independent consultant. I believe that contract has just been signed. They had some contracting challenges that they needed to work through in terms of timing, and so that's a good next step for the whole corridor, because it gets a fresh eye on US Highway 199. Somebody from outside coming in and taking a look at all of the data, taking a look at the roadway and saying, how can this be better?
Excellent. Thank you, Tamara. All right, let's go ahead with item number 5, which is commissioner comments at this time. Mr. Fallman? None. Mr. Hemmingson?
Yeah, I just a few comments on the North Deal meeting. Unfortunately, Commander DP was not able to go down. He was supposed to have some information on the 101 corridor, but I did make comments on the 101 corridor about turn pockets, mentioning at the Timber Lane, I think it is, for a dollar store, and also Denny Road, out in that area is a bad one, and Wonderstump, and Wonderstump Road.
If I could, just in relation to that,
Please.
Commissioner Howard, you requested that I talk with Ted Ward with Solid Waste Management. Ted and I did have a conversation. I suggested that he and I meet with Heidi and Rosanna, the county engineering and planning staff, Heidi and Rosanna. We had a follow-up meeting, and we have a potential path forward. I'm not ready to, I mean, it will include a partnership. If we move forward with it, it'll include a partnership with Caltrans, with the Del Norte Local Transportation Commission, potentially bringing in Caltrans early on in their take a look at properties that might be viable, so they don't make a final selection for a property and then have a surprise about transportation impacts. So we're taking a look at several of their properties and giving trying to find a way to give a planning level estimate on costs for required improvements before they move forward with property decisions. So that'll be part of the property decision while they still have many options, not when they only have one option that they've narrowed it down to. So Ted and I will be working together to move that forward. I'm hopeful that we can get Caltrans engaged early on in that, even if we have to contract with Caltrans to give us the planning level estimates for the roadway. So we have the folks who have been engaged in that, who have the traffic data, who are pulling it up regularly, because we have some challenges already, to be in helping us to find the planning level cost estimates for any improvements that might need to be made in that area.
And if I could continue on with some of the other stuff, and I'm sorry I didn't bring my notes, but the Collier Tunnel, they have a backup generator out there now, or supposed to be shortly. I can't remember what they said. They have somebody out there watching things right now. And in doing their work out there for the ventilation system, they were finding about a layer of about an inch worth of dust all over the place.
Really?
And so they had it tested, and it's lead from when fuel was leaded.
You're kidding.
No. And so that was I think it was about a $9 million project, if I remember right, $9.5 million. $5 million of it was to clean up that lead area, from what I understand. The other thing that I found interesting is that the Dr. Fine Bridge project was supposed to be completed this year, since I've been on deal, but before that, it was about a $29 million project, from what I understand. It went to a $50 million project before, when I was on the North deal. Now it's supposed to be done in 2023. It's a $65 million project.
Yeah, that's more what I heard about, is that it's a $65 to $70 million project. Yeah.
So, I mean, just to give you an idea of the escalation of when you get time involved and start stretching these things out and more environmental stuff, the cost just goes up exponentially. So
Yeah.
that's about all. I mean, there was more stuff. A lot of projects. They got not just Last Chance Grade, which they have a whole team focused on doing that.
team.
They've got all these other things that they're doing in the county that it's pretty amazing that they're keeping up with it. So.
Yeah, one of the things that I continue to remind our community about is that Last Chance Grade is really two very important projects. One is maintaining the highway, keeping the highway open, and the other is finding a long-term workaround. And both of them are complicated, big, and expensive. It's and different. I mean, the team keeping the highway open is a different team than the team doing the rerouting.
And the project that they're doing now, where they're fixing the ski jump, they're figuring about 2 years, so we'll have a stoplight there for another 2 years. 20 feet, they're going 20 feet east, moving the road 20 feet east and 16 feet up.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah, but really, two really big ongoing projects.
Yeah,
Very good. Thank you.
a lot of stuff going on.
Please.
I don't have anything.
Supervisor Gillen.
Yeah, I actually have two issues. We've gotten a few calls, and I have done some checking on when the rest area in front of the Collier tunnel is going to be completed.
March.
It's, I guess there's some unanticipated issues that came up, and so we're getting calls on that. So what's it look like, March now? This is now?
That's-
Any day?
Yeah,
Should be
Jerry,
this month sometime. I think they've got the same schedule of the rest stop that's south of here around Trinidad area. It's supposed to be March also, but they
Okay.
said March.
And the other
But
issue.
that's a moving target.
Yeah, the other issue centers around a letter the Board of Supervisors received some months ago, and I've got a recent phone call from Dr. Eniger about the confusion over Washington Boulevard and Parkway. And apparently, the right-of-way yields to the left, not to the right, which is opposite law. And this was my understanding, this was done originally because the Highway Patrol was in that location and they needed the right-of-way to go forward on the left turn. Now that that's no longer an issue, the Highway Patrol has moved, perhaps we can look at this intersection. There's some confusion there according to Dr. Eniger. I know I've seen that near accidents. I don't know if we have a list of accidents, but I think it's something we should look at again to see if we want to change the right-of-way to cars on the right get the right-of-way and the cars on the left have to yield, which is the exact opposite of what it is now.
Please.
when I envision that intersection, the cars that have just turned left onto Washington Boulevard are already on Washington Boulevard because they made a left turn. So they are, the preceding vehicle are the cars that turned left onto Washington Boulevard from Parkway Drive. So they are staggered. So the cars coming in from Parkway Drive are coming in higher on the road, and the cars on Parkway Drive that have just made that left turn lane, they are already there and going straight. So there's a bit of roadway, and it's not a lot. You're right, it's not a lot, but here's Washington Boulevard, Parkway Drive, from the folks coming from the, what would it be, north?
Yep.
Are coming in after the folks who have made a left turn lane coming in from the south. That, I believe, is the determination that Caltrans has made, is that's usual and customary. That the design of that intersection actually didn't have anything to do with the CHP being located there at that corner. We've talked about this in past meetings, and I believe that that's Caltrans' conclusion, is that that intersection is normal. I do know that it causes some confusion. There have been some fender benders there, but there hasn't been any injury collisions there in the known history of that intersection. And I think without any injury collisions there is very clear sign there that says yield, and the CHP's comment on it is that people in Delaware County just don't yield even if there's a sign to yield. So that's the information that we have. Kevin and I can perhaps do a check back with Caltrans and see if they have something new about that intersection, but that's the conclusion that they've made to date.
Well, maybe we should take a look at it. I mean, we do have a constituent who's brought this to our attention, and I think out of respect to his request, I think we should take a look at it and see if it's A-okay, or if there's some issues there that can be corrected. It would mean moving the signs, yield right to yield left. I think it's not a costly measure. But it seems to violate, go against all other laws of right-of-way. Cars on the right always have the right-of-way.
Yeah, that's not the conclusion that Caltrans has reached, and
You want to look at it, or is this worthy of another look?
Do you want to take a more formal look at it? When's the last time something's been done?
we could
How many
do.
years ago?
I don't know that anything formal has been done. I do believe that Caltrans took a look at it and said, yes, this is a normal intersection. It's up to you.
We
you
could
all.
briefly revisit this at the next meeting.
Okay.
Maybe if you and Kevin could get together, or
The whole thing of yielding to the right-of-way, when you merge onto a freeway, you're coming from the right, but you do not have the right-of-way. So I don't understand the whole right-of-way thing. Right-of-way comes when you come to a four-way stop. The person to the right, if you come at the same time, the person at the right has the right-of-way. Other than that, I don't know what they're talking about as far as merging traffic. It's merging traffic, and they do not merge right away. They're merging.
So we'll go
Never
ahead,
have.
we'll go ahead and take a short look at it next month, since there has been some comments made on this intersection, bring it back forward so Supervisor Gitlin could respond to his constituent
Okay,
with that information.
all right.
Very good.
Yeah, if I could get a copy of the letter, that would be.
Yeah, I don't have a copy of the letter either. So,
Mr. Anscore? Okay, very good. And as Supervisor Hemmingson was referencing, it did have a great deal of comments generated from a crash at Timbers Boulevard and Highway 101 a couple weeks ago. 5-vehicle accident, 2 separate accidents though. The second accident was generated by the first accident, unfortunately, where a drunk driver was involved and hit a parked car that had pulled over for the first accident, forcing it into the southbound lane and causing it to be T-boned and sending the occupants of that Toyota 4Runner a great distance down to the Central Valley to get treated for pretty major medical conditions. I did speak to Larry DP about this a great deal, because obviously this has been one of our hot button areas for the commission and for the community, specifically in the Smith River, as you're aware, Kevin. And so my hope is, after talking with David Morgan about it last week and some of the work that Tamara and I have done with Caltrans Region 1, with Matt Brady and others, that we can begin to dive into this again before our tourist season starts. And if we do have a project there in the future with some other facility going in on that road, I'd love to see a more involved look that helps mitigate what now I'm seeing is a lot of skid marks at that location, because bottom line, there's a lot of cars moving in and out of that facility. So that's all I'd like to say at this time, and hopefully we could get some traction from and avoid potential collisions this summer. And we'll go ahead and move on. We'll adjourn from the Policy Advisory Committee and move to any recommendations of the Local Transportation Commission at this time. Do I have a motion to approve the Policy Advisory Committee?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second public comment. Seeing none, hold the vote, please.
Commissioner Inscore?
Yes.
Commissioner Hemmingson?
Yes.
Commissioner Gitlin?
Yes.
Commissioner Fallman?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, meeting adjourned. See ya.
Did you get the email about that?